Max, Mike, Jimmy, and I will just travel to Camp 1, Camp 2, Summit,
together.
Back down together.
Together.
Yeah,
Four-man
together.
row.
All together. Yes.
All together.
Yes. Four-man team.
No problem. No problem, yes. I feel very good.
I feel very good.
Brings new meaning to the Cold War, doesn't it?
Cold beer.
With the summit team established, their fate now lies in the weather holding out for a few more days. They hope to reach the top before the arrival of the monsoon.
It was very difficult to set off for the summit, leaving Andre and Vadim. They have become such good friends over the past couple of years, and to not have them with us, it was just very difficult saying goodbye.
The teams have come a long way since their initial conversations of reaching the summit of an 8,000-meter peak 1 year ago. Vadim and Andre now turn to Max in carrying the hopes and dreams of a Kazakh reaching the summit of Shishapangma.
After 3 weeks on the mountain having good weather, things deteriorated down low. That much sun tends to melt the snow and turn good solid roots into running rivers.
The climbers rope up as crevasses begin to reveal themselves. Their skis become less efficient as skins that enable them to climb up begin to weigh down with the heavy wet snow.
Even though we have to adjust our route to put up with the changing conditions, it's a heck of a lot better than the alternative of trying to fight a blizzard or being constantly stuck in your tent.
Although they will need to readjust their style, the three Americans on skis welcome the strength and determination of young Max, who will climb with them as they head for the summit. At 23, Max was the youngest member of the group.
Max's goal on this trip was to get to the summit, and he knew that if he got to the summit, he'd be the youngest Kazakh ever to summit an 8,000-meter peak. So it was very, very important. He had worked very hard, and we wanted to do whatever we could to help him attain that goal.
Max showed remarkable strength, forging ahead on foot while the others traveled by ski. In the morning, final preparations are made to meet the challenge of the upper mountain.
Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to position ourselves as best we can to for our first summit bid. If weather did move in tonight, we'd probably move a camp up to 3. You can move very safely from 2 to 3, unless we get huge accumulation. So if the weather did move in, we'd move a camp to 3, wait as long as we could. We've got plenty of food and supplies up there.
Having the skis long ended up being a real asset. I mean, we encountered a lot of deep snow, and by the time we got acclimated, we were actually moving in between camps in 3 hours, and that was taking some groups as long as 6 hours.
The team ventures out towards Camp 2. It is here that they are all alone on the mountain. Unlike the gridlock that plagues the more popular 8,000-meter peaks, the 4 climbers are truly alone. They face it on their own terms, with no one to blame or rely on but themselves.
The weather's just beautiful, and we're fortunate enough to find ourselves on an 8,000-meter peak, and we're the only people on the route. It's a pretty ominous feeling. We've been looking at the upper portion of the route, and it's significantly different than what we've experienced on the lower portion. It's steep, it's got a lot more technical climbing involved, and it's exciting to be here right at the base of it. The anxiety of getting ready for our final summit push was weighing heavily on all of our minds.
having some ramen right now, and might have some split pea soup, or we might have some freeze-dried food.
Tomorrow, they would reach out and touch the North Ridge for the first time.
Good night.
For the first time, the team encounters less than ideal weather conditions. The mountain begins to respond to the notion of allowing climbers to reach its summit.
Here we are at camp, high camp, and we're on our summit push. We were expecting to get up and get going and make a kind of a soup camp at about 25,000, and then at about 2 a.m. After brewing up, head to the summit, but it's kind of gotten nasty on us for really only the second time this whole trip. So we're kind of tent bound right now.
Tent-bound and restless, Jim occasionally ventures out and scouts the weather. The persistent winds prevent the team from advancing and establishing a higher Camp 3. With the approach of the full moon, the team fears its string of good weather luck is nearing its end and decide to make their summit bid from Camp 2.
Everyone's a little crabby because we're up at midnight getting ready to go, but we got a beautiful day. And we're going to bag an 8,000 meter peak today.
Ready to rock and roll. Let's do it.
Summit day started out, beautiful starry night. 1 in the morning we took off and proceeded up the mountain. The first part of the summit day from Camp 2 is just a long, flat ski to the base of this head wall.
I feel physically good. I don't like the weather very much. We'll just wait and see.
No, I'm not going to take my skis up. It's more important that I reach the summit. And I don't know, I think if I take skis up, I'll be too fagged out. So, I'm leaving them here.
We got to the base of the head wall, and that's really where the interesting part of the climb starts. You break out onto 40 to 50 degree slopes up through mixed rock and ice.
A.m. We're at approximately 25,000 feet.
The climbers pass the location of Camp 3. Choosing to make their bid from Camp 2, they have come halfway in their summit day push of over 4,000 feet. The slog of the mountain's lower slopes is now behind them. The skis, up until now an efficient means of travel, become a burden as they are strapped to the backs of the climbers.
You're climbing at these altitudes and it's just physically draining. You're just so tempted to stop and rest, about every other step, but you know that time is just not on your side. You have to get to the top and you have to get off that mountain, and you literally have to concentrate to put one foot in front of the other and just keep on going. Progress is slow, but you just have to continue going, have to continue moving forward.
The climbers get their first view of the entire Langtang range of the Himalayas from their position on the North Ridge.
There are two sections of fairly technical climbing.
The rock sections were 50, 60 degree slopes of mixed rock and ice, and we're moving at a step approximately every 3 breaths, so it was pretty draining.
Steve and Jim, we're 25, 26 out. Awful.
The two goals of summiting and skiing from the top now prove to torment the minds of Steve and Mike. They question whether being the first to ski from the top will jeopardize their primary goal of summiting.
Steve, I'm rolled at about 7,700 meters. He and I both still have skis. He's not using the fixed line, but I am. This is a bitch. You can see the weather has set in. I figure we're about an hour and a half from the top, over and out.
When you have foul weather come in, it's stressful, it's cold, it zaps your energy. It can totally deplete you if you don't maintain control.
As the weather begins to deteriorate, the team members at Advanced Base Camp become anxious about their friends on the mountain.
How are you? How are you? Over.
Well, we just want to get up and get down as fast as possible.
How are you? How are you and another members? Over.
Everybody is doing well.
How many? What do you think? How many hours to summit? Over.
Possible to tell, probably under an hour.
I understand 1 hour to summit. Over.
Over now, I gotta go.
Be careful, be careful. We wait. Over.
Increasingly bad weather causes some tense moments on the mountain.
Well, he got in the wrong gully and then lost the crampon. So, and it was all ice. So, yeah, it was not a pretty sight. I guess we're just below the summit, so I was just gonna leave my pack here. Yeah, I was just gonna leave my pack here and go for it.
Despite the near whiteout conditions, the team decides to push on. They rely on the mountain's north ridge as a guide to prevent them from venturing off course. They concur that only the piercing jet stream winds will deter them from pressing on. Mike stops for a moment to document his twin brother Steve's last steps to the summit cone of Shishapangma. The dream they have shared together since their youth was about to be realized.
I never dreamed that we would actually carry skis to the summit of this peak. It was a tool, and the fact that we actually accomplished it is pretty unbelievable.
It's just unbelievable to be standing on top of that peak with my twin brother and skis.
With little space on the summit, Mike watches as Steve puts his skis on to become the first North American to ski from the summit of an 8,000-meter peak. Two brothers, twins, CPAs from a small town far away, had set it in their mind to achieve this goal that so many had mocked. Only later would their amazing achievement be